Okay, next video is how we can do some more complex scripting interactions with our trigger zone. So what I've done is I have brought a sphere into the scene. We're going to push this into the trigger zone and have something happen. So in order for us to be able to push it, we need to add a rigid body onto the sphere. And so we'll do that. And so one thing that's cool is that on the trigger zone itself, we can actually put our scripts onto the trigger zone, even though the trigger zone itself does not have a rigid body on it. So we talked a couple videos ago about how in order for like triggers and collisions to be detected, there needs to be a rigid body. But as long as there's a rigid body on one of the things that is colliding, those functions get called on both of them. So I can put a script over here that is maybe called trigger interaction, and open this up, and we'll do a quick test. Trigger enter. So when something enters into the trigger zone, we will debug.log the other object's name. So I will save this. And basically, what I want to do, we can name the sphere Frank. So it has a name. I am player, this is Frank. So if I hit play, I'm going to open up my console. Let's give Frank a push. Come on, Frank. Rotate, rotate. Oh, well, the player went in. Frank went in. There we go. All right. So, the trigger zone itself is logging these names. So, what can be really fun is, let's make it a little bit easier on ourselves. Let's put Frank right above the trigger zone. So he's gonna fall into it. Let's go back to our script. So, on our trigger, let's say anything that enters into the trigger zone, we want it to go flying upwards. So we can say the rigid body equals other dot game object dot get component rigid body. So we can get the rigid body on the thing that entered into the trigger, and then we can say b dot add force. So this adds some kind of movement force, and what we want to do is give it a direction, vector3 dot up. So the upward direction we'll say times 20, give it like a good one, and then we'll give it a force mode of impulse. Basically what this means is it adds all that force all at once. It goes kablamo, straight up. So let's save that and hit play and just watch what happens to Frank. Right, so he goes flying straight upwards. Very fun. And now we can come in and play with Frank too. We can go jumping. So anything that enters into the trigger zone will have that force applied to it. So that can be really fun. And because the trigger zone is just kind of like anything else, we can have it control other things. So let's say we want to control the light, the yellow light that's shining on it. So we can turn that on. Yellow light. And let's make this a public game object. So if you remember, a public game object shows up in your inspector, so we can turn that off. And then we can, let's see, in our, let's make a little timer. So whenever something goes in, it'll turn the light on, and then after like a couple seconds, it will turn off. So, timer. And let's bring our setup function back. In our setup, we can set timer is equal to 0. And we can make a Boolean that will check on the, did someone enter into the, is entered. Oops. False. Okay, and then in our update, we can say if is entered equals true, then timer plus equals time dot delta time. If timer is greater than, let's say, just like half a second, then is entered equals false, right? So if someone goes in, we toss it up and we say is entered. Make sure you spell it correctly. Is true. Okay, so we set this Boolean to be true. In our update, we are checking. If it's true, count up. If the timer is bigger than a certain number, it becomes false, and we will reset the timer. So this is a code structure that you will likely use again and again if you want something to happen for a certain amount of time. What we have to do here is also set something to happen with the light. So what we can do is right here we can make sure to turn the light on, and then here we can turn the light off. Right, so if you remember from before, what we can do is we can get the yellow light, get its component, get the light component, find the intensity, and set that equal to 20. And then basically we can copy this, paste it here, and set it to 0. And what that should do is turn on and then turn it off the way that we want. So if we save that, go back to Unity, hit play, here we go. Off, on, off, on, off, right? On, off, on, off. Not too bad.